Díobh Carja, Tommy Arash. Okay, so hello everybody, I am back, and today we are going to look at, or in this lesson, we are going to look at basically building on what we did previously about the present continuous. We're going to make the past continuous. This should be a shorter lesson because you already had the basics in the previous one, and if you haven't watched that, I'd recommend you going back to the video, the present continuous in Irish. So let's think again quickly about English. Past continuous. What is it? It's essentially a sentence such as he was talking, they were swimming, he was eating. So again, it's a continuous action that was happening in the past. Usually in English, we rarely use it on its own. So for example, it'd be quite strange to say like he was driving, full stop. You usually use it to kind of create context for something else. That he was driving when the accident happened, for example. In Irish, similar use, we kind of use it to create a context, but I'm just going to go through today the logistics of just how you form it. So we can start with the positive in the present form. If you remember, we talked about Dimitri talking. We said, Tá Dimitri ag caint. Quite simple. Tá Dimitri ag caint. Literally, be Dimitri at talk. If we want to turn this into the past, well, our verb tá in Irish actually is a subset of a bigger verb. Just like in English you have am, are, is. It's actually a subset of the verb to be. So in Irish it's the same. Tá is a form of the verb be. Be I fada. Be. In Irish, the conventional way of creating the past from a verb is by mutating the first, by doing the softening essentially. So we're going to soften the b in be. When you soften a b by putting a h after it, in most cases it'll become a w or a v. In this case, it becomes a v. So v. So b becomes v. So basically, v Dimitri ag caint. V will ag ihe. V Adam agus Suzanne ag snáv. So you see, nothing is changing from the present except for the verb. It's just like English, right? Adam is talking. Sorry, Dimitri is talking. Dimitri was talking. All that's changed there is the is became was in Irish. Tá became V. And this you can apply to everything. Any sentence that you can create with tá, you can put into the past with V. V Adam ag snáv. Let's go to the negative. So again, we have what we call a double form, a dependent form, because this is one of the most unusual verbs in Irish. So in the present we had tá, which became fuil. In the past we have v, which will become rev. Rev. You can say row or rev, up to you. Now, so we're going to say ni row or rev. Sometimes I can't choose myself. Ni row Dimitri ag caint. Ni rev William ag ihe. Ni rev Adam agus Suzanne ag snáv. Now, you may remember in the present continuous, after ni, we talked about how we had to soften the next word. Or we had to soften fuil to ill, so it became ni ill. So here with ni rev, the same rule applies. However, there are letters, there are consonants in Irish that cannot be softened. R is one of those. I think it's R, L, N, and some combinations of S with P, for example. But L, N, and R can never be softened, can never be mutated in any way. You just simply can't soften an R. If you try it, it doesn't work. So essentially just stays as ni rev. Ni rev Dimitri ag caint. And if we go to the question form, again, what was our question word in the present? It was on. So we had on will. Is Dimitri talking? On will Dimitri ag caint. Now in the past, we're still going to use that on. On. What was our dependent form of v? Rev or row. On rev Dimitri ag caint. Again, you would normally have eclipses here, but you can't do anything with an R. On rev Adam agus Suzanne ag snáv. On rev Will ag ihe. And again, you can also use the fourth form, the what would you call it? The negative question, and again, it would just be knock. So Nachrev Dimitri Ekheint. Wasn't Dimitri talking? I'll mention one caveat here, which if this goes above your head, don't worry about it too much, but there are only 11 irregular verbs in Irish, and I think 6 of them are particularly irregular, like super irregular. So if you've noticed here, we're using ni to negate, ni rev, and on as a question word. That only works for these super irregular verbs in Irish. As I said, only 6 of them. Normally, to create the past in Irish with other verbs, the ni will become near, and the on would become air. Irish likes to basically have a past form of these, and you can always usually denote it from the R. So as I said, ni becomes near, on becomes air. Other forms that you don't need right now, like g becomes gur, noch becomes nar. So that's just something to keep in mind later if you're kind of confused as to why that's happening. So this verb, as I said, is quite irregular because it's using the present ni and the present question word on. Anyway, let's go back and do a quick review here. So we had V Dimitri Egkaint, V Will Egehe. We could say Ni Rev Adam agus Suzanne Ixnav. They were not swimming. If we wanted to ask, was Will eating? We could say On Will Egehe. Sorry, not on Will. On Rev Will Egehe. If I wanted to ask, was Dimitri talking? On Rev Dimitri Egkaint. And if I wanted to say, weren't Adam and Suzanne swimming? I'd say Nach Rev Adam agus Suzanne Egkaint. Again, in my opinion, I think these forms are much easier than English, but if you've only ever learnt it through English, it's kind of almost hard to simplify it. But it's really just was Dimitri at talk, and then not was Dimitri at talk, and question mark was Dimitri at talk, and then question mark not was Dimitri at talk. That's essentially what it really translates to. So again, just like last time, I would recommend that you go around the picture, identify what these people are doing, look them up in the dictionary, make sure you have the verbal noun form because we have to use that after egg. Most of the time it's the same, sometimes it changes a little bit, and then try and create your own sentences in the past using V and ni rev, on rev, nach rev. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you in a lesson soon, and let me know if you have any questions below. Best of luck. Slán live.